Thank you, Madam Chairman, and good evening. I first want to just say thank you to Cam Sankey for his service to the college. This is his last board meeting as he moves on, so
We're going to miss you, Cam.
And secondly, I just wanted to say that some good news, as the chairman indicated from our gala, you have a letter there from Joanna Rolick, chair of the foundation, and we've been sort of steadily moving up a little bit in what we make on that, but this year we had a $12,400 jump, which was great. So up to around 124,000, so paid for use scholarships, which is great. The other item I want to point to the board members to at your place, David has given you a one-page sheet like this. Okay, so as we said at the last committee of the whole meeting, we would show you a sample of what the bills might look like that would be presented. Fortunately, it's not going to be this short. It's going to be probably about 30, 40 more pages of this. And this is just a draft format, so let David or I know if you have some suggestions for how that's going to look, etc. Of course, we can always change it along the way also. At the next meeting, then, we'll try to bring you a clearer mock-up of everything. And then you have the 713 policy first reading. Our intent then is to go in November for the second reading, and then December we should be ready to start this process of approval on those bills. If there aren't any questions for now, and you can bring questions later on it too, I'll just move on to say that you also have in your agenda in the book, 6.1 is the establishment of regular board meeting dates, times, and places. And it reflects the same schedule for 2014. Most of the meetings are scheduled on the fourth Tuesday of every month except for May, November, and December meetings. I do, maybe at some time the board might want to think if we, it's just an idea, but we might want to talk in the future sometime of looking at the third week, because we always end up changing 3 or 4 board meetings to the third week. If you bet on the third week, you probably wouldn't have to move it to the fourth. But it's something we can take a look at down the line. I do want to mention just a couple more things, and one of those is a thank you to the administrators. We've talked enough, I think, now about that conference, and it was a really good conference in Chicago, and there was a lot of things we learned each of the way. I also want to thank, as Trustee Olsweiger said, some of the many folks who helped. Jeff DeLay, of course, we mentioned with the CLC singers, so he did an outstanding job of leading them there. And David Agazy, Eric Tanis, who's our manager for coaching academic success, Nick Calieris, Michelle Reynolds, our director for business and auxiliary services, and Rodolfo Ruiz Valesco, who's our grant manager for Title V. They all had the opportunity to go there and to help and do a little work and run around and kind of support everything, so that was great. The last thing I want to mention is that our Veterans Day ceremony is coming up. That we'll host the annual Veterans Day ceremony at the Grays Lake campus on Friday, November 7th at 12 p.m. in C005. It's the time of year that we honor faculty and staff members that have served or are currently serving in the armed forces. So if you also know the names of any immediate family members that are currently serving in the military, let us know so that we can put them on the honor roll of veterans there for that ceremony. And finally, that concludes my report. I want to turn this over to say, I'd like to have a little student success update. I should say first that often Dr. Baldwin will give us a little campus update, but we had that at the last meeting, since we have plenty on the agenda. We're going to move into talking just for a few minutes about student success if we have an agenda. I'll turn that over.
All right, I'll just hit a couple of quick highlights. Over the last month, I think I reported to the board last month that we had a consultant in town working with us on a strategic development management plan. We have a rough draft of that plan now, and Karen and I have been going through it for a little over 100 pages. And ultimately, once we finalize that draft, we begin working with various groups across campus for a 3-year plan. Second, Karen and I have been going around to various groups in student development to talk about what we're doing under the student success banner, some of the new initiatives. We're also talking about some of the new plans for next fiscal year and getting input from those areas regarding other ideas. And then finally, at the end of last year, I created a group of developmental faculty. Many of you may know that we teach developmental English and math. Those folks had never really gotten together before. So at the end of last year, we created a special group that comes together 2 or 3 times each semester. That group met last Friday again, I think for the second or third time this semester to talk about ideas to support developmental student success. So those are just a couple of highlights of some of the things we did over the last week. Okay.
If there's any questions, we'll move on to
It's a group called SimWorks.
Yeah, they'll be getting reports on that. They're completing a large report, and we'll be factoring that in and probably hear some of that too if there's cost issues when we get to
support for governmental things to matter. What the discussion would sound very promising after the first couple of discussions.
You know, one of the things that we're seeing that's working very well are dedicated tutors within each of the math classes. So we've been piloting that. And what happens is that you have a tutor that's assigned to a particular course. That way the student gets to know the tutor, and it makes it easier for students to take advantage of our tutoring services. One of the things that we know is that oftentimes students are reluctant to actually go to the tutoring center. So this helps bridge that gap. In addition, that tutor becomes more familiar with the curriculum because they're actually sitting in on some of those classes. And then the final thing is the tutor will often do just small group tutoring exercises like meeting with before or after class. So that's